Hi folks, Chef Desmond Keefe here, and I'm back with another episode of The Humble Spud. Today we're at the Rowan College at Burlington County Demonstration Theater, and we're making breakfast. One of my favorite meals, and of course it is the most important meal of the day. And as always, we're going to be making it with potatoes. Today we're going to be making a cheddar and bacon potato souffle and a Tunisian fried egg potato sandwich. And so let's get started with making up our souffle. So the first thing I'm going to do is work right over here with these potatoes. Now I took a minute to already go ahead and boil these off. So I peeled my russet potatoes and then I cut them into quarters, boiled them about 20 minutes until they became soft enough to the touch. And so now all I gotta do is strain them right like so. Just gonna pass them through my strainer like that. I want to try and get as much water out as possible because I don't want to allow that to interfere with the souffle. So that's why we're gonna give it a good little drain right there, just like that. All right, so the next step, what we're gonna do is go ahead and pass it through my ricer. So what I need to do is just quickly dump this over here. There we go, like that. And back I am. And now I have my potato ricer, one of my favorite tools, right like that. I asked the chef not that long ago, hey, do you have a potato ricer? And he kind of gave me a hard time. He says, yeah, not since the 60s. So I thought that was pretty funny on his part. But I do find it to be a perfect way to make sure that you don't have any lumps in your potatoes when you're making a dish like this. Now, as we all know, if you use a food processor to make your mashed potatoes, they're gonna get gummy. And we don't want that. So that's why I'm passing it through my ricer just like this. All right, and it's still warm, and that's important because we're gonna get some butter in here in just a second, and we want that butter to melt real good. All right, so there we are right there. Just a little bit more. Get the rest of this all passed through, and that gives us that gorgeous consistency we are looking for, just like that. All right, so that's done. So the next thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and get my room temperature butter, and in it goes, just like that. All right, so that's gonna melt it for a minute. So let's stir. It's nice and room temp, as I said, so that's gonna give it a quick melt. Want that to incorporate before we add anything else to our dish. So we're just about there. Again, that's the idea of having room temperature butter. It just makes things work much quicker when it comes to working with an item like this. Now this is definitely, again, one of my very favorites. It's a nice dish that you can make for Christmas morning. And the other thing that I really like about this dish is that they reheat really well. So you can make it the night before, and then you can even pop it back in the oven the next morning, and they're gonna come out fantastic. All right, so that's all nicely incorporated. And so now I have 5 egg yolks. I'm gonna put those right in, just like that. Then I have 6 ounces of half and half. We're gonna add that in, just like that. Okay, let's get those stirred in very nicely. All right, get that incorporated. Good. I wanna make sure that we don't have any pockets of potato that haven't been mixed in. All right, and then last but not least, I have some Dijon mustard, about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and then I have about 1/4 ounce of the paprika. I use Hungarian paprika because I like a little bit of spice to it, and it gives it a beautiful color, as you can see, as we are working our way through this dish. All right, getting that nicely incorporated. So I took the liberty of cooking up some bacon in advance. So we have it right here, all cooked and chopped. And so I'm gonna add that in. And finally, I have 8 ounces of grated cheddar cheese. We're gonna put all that in just like that. Nice. So here is the base to my souffle, all incorporated very, very nicely. All right, as you can see, all incorporated very, very nicely. So at this point, I need to give it that airy consistency and that we're looking for in a souffle, so I do need to whip up my egg white. So I actually took the 5 egg whites from the egg yolks that I separated here, and I added 2 more whites because I wanted to have plenty of volume, and so therefore there are 7 egg whites in this pan right here. So here we go again, whisk attachment on high speed. There we go. That's just going to take a couple of minutes to do its trick. All right, so we've got our egg whites nice and stiff peaks like we're looking for right here. And so I've got that all set, as you can see, just the way I like it. All right, before I incorporate those two together, I just want to talk to you for a minute about the way that I like to prepare my souffle cups. So what I do is I oil the inside of my ramekins, and then what I do is I just take a little bit of panko crumb, just like that, and then I'm gonna roll it around just so that I have a thorough coating on the inside. And the reason why I do that is it's gonna allow the souffle to rise up while it's cooking in the oven. And of course, it's also gonna give a nice crunch around the outside of the souffle when you're eating it. Now, everything else about this souffle is a gluten-free recipe. So if you really wanted to go gluten-free 100%, you could use some almond flour to coat the inside instead of breadcrumbs. So that would give you a different flavor profile a little bit, but it would definitely achieve the gluten-free goal that you might want to do. All right, so now that's done. So now all I have to do is take my whipped egg whites that we have right here. Let's shake them out, right? Get them all out of there. Perfect. Very, very nice. And then we'll hide that right there. Okay, I'm gonna put about a third of them into my base, and that way we're gonna lighten the base, is what we're doing here. So we know that because the base is thicker, that when we incorporate this, it will lose the air on that first batch of egg whites that I am incorporating that in. So that's why we call that lightening when we do that. All right, so now that's in, so I can put the rest of my egg whites right into my base, just like so. Make sure we get every last bit, because that is our leavener. The egg whites are what are going to make this rise. So we'll slide that over there. And so again, now we're going to be a little more gentle in how we incorporate it, because we definitely don't want to knock out the air of the remainder of our egg whites. So we're going to just gently fold those in, just like that. All right. So there we go, almost there. Just a couple of little globs of egg white still incorporating, and there we go, just right. Now, most of the time you're gonna think of a souffle as something that you would have as a sweet item, a dessert. And in this case here, it is a savory item, and that's why I am so excited about this dish. So there we are. We're just gonna put those right in. We're filling them up just about 3/4 of the way, and that way you're gonna give people a really nice portion, and they'll be rising up over the top. So we're just gonna give those, we're making a little bit of a mess here, but that's okay. And just a little bit more on that one to make them all consistent. And then what we'll do is we'll take those, as you can see, they're ready to go. I'm gonna pop those, bang them down for just a second, and we're gonna go into a 375-degree oven for about 20 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 20 minutes now, so let's see how our souffles are doing. Oh my goodness. Look at these guys. All right, they got a nice height to them. I am so happy. Now we're just gonna take that, we'll pop it right onto your plate, just like that. And the beauty of these is that you can use any kind of savory ingredients. This particular one we just made is with the bacon and cheddar, and it's got that paprika and Dijon profile going on with it too. But if you wanted to, you could do like a sun-dried tomato with spinach and feta cheese and basil, and that's a great flavor profile too. And I've made both of those. As a matter of fact, if you go to the Burlington Agricultural Center and you check out the Humble Spud stand, you'll see that we have both of this. This is, I call, the Humble Souffle with the bacon and cheddar. And there we have it, our Humble Souffle, also known as a bacon cheddar potato souffle. And God, does that look good. All right, so now let's move on to our Tunisian breakfast sandwich. All right, now it's time for our Tunisian fried egg potato sandwich. So this is just one of those dishes that you just have to try to believe how delicious it is, and simple too. So what do we got here? We've got a nice piece of phyllo dough, and if you've ever worked with phyllo dough, you know it's fiddly, right? It's something that you gotta be careful of and that you gotta work with quickly, or else it'll end up turning into a bunch of brittle paper before you know it. So I'm gonna get started. So what I have here is a little bit of oil, just nice extra virgin olive oil with a brush, and I'm just gonna coat the whole thing, just gonna work my way around just like that. Now you can, people like to do it with butter or a mixture of butter and oil, or you can even go ahead and use the non-stick cooking spray if you want to. And so it's up to you what you like to do. I'm an oil guy. I just love the flavor of extra virgin oil, so that's why I'm gonna just put the whole thing just like that, okay? So once we've coated it nicely, I am going to fold this all the way into half, just like that. I'm gonna hit it with another quick coat and fold it one more time, just like that. And now what I wanna do is make it a square. Okay, so I have to fold this part up just a little bit so that I've got a square. All right, so now that I've got that the way I want it and it's got oil on it, it'll be fine for a minute while I make my filling. So the idea behind a Tunisian fried egg potato sandwich is that we're gonna take some beautiful mashed potatoes. Once again, I'm using my russet. You know how much I love my russet potatoes. And so we mashed them up before we get started here. And so here it is right here. Now, of course, I always like to add a nice pinch of black pepper and a little bit of salt. We'll incorporate that in. Now I have some chopped parsley. We'll put that in. And then I have a whole bunch of chopped scallions. I'll probably put about 2 ounces of scallions in there because I just love them. All right, now we're moving that around and get that all incorporated. And the last ingredient that we want to put in here is our preserved lemon peel. It wouldn't be Tunisian if we didn't have a little preserved lemon in there. And I made this up just the other day. You take your lemons, you cut them halfway down in a cross section from the top, and then you're just gonna put them pour some boiling water over it with a little sugar, a little salt, and then you just let it sit. You sit it upside down for the first couple days, and then you stand it back up again, and it's gonna be good for several months. And I just love that flavor that you get from that. So we're gonna put those in just like that, our minced preserved lemon. All right, so there we are, all mixed in, very incorporated. And so now, before I assemble my fried egg sandwich, I want to get the heat going on my oil over on the stove top here. All right, so that's on. So now I can take a little bit of my mashed potato, and what we're going to do is we're going to just put it on the one side of our triangle. So what we're trying to do, well, it's a square now, but we're making a triangle on half of it, just like that, as you can see. All right, so we'll do just a little bit more right in there to fill it in. All right, now I'm gonna make a little indentation right about in the center of where that mashed potato is, and I'm gonna crack an egg. We'll put it right in there, into that little hole, okay? And now we'll take the other half of my phyllo dough, and we're gonna pinch that down so it seals just right. All right, and then if we want to, we could brush a little bit more. It's going in the oil anyway, so you don't have to worry too much about that. All right, but now, I've got a little bit of heat going on here, so I'm getting ready to place my Tunisian fried egg and potato sandwich right into my oil. Oh, very nice. So we got some nice activity going here. All right, so we're gonna give that just a couple minutes so that it gets brown, and then we'll turn it over and we'll put it on the other side. And it is, you know, this is one of those dishes that I discovered when I was traveling, and I said to myself, wow, that is just one of those nice dishes that once again you can bring forward, because I'm always on the hunt for a potato dish. It's who I am, right? I just love it, and it's always something that I strive for, is to find more and more ways to share my love of potatoes with you as the humble Spud. All right, we're almost there. We'll let that go for another second. I want to see a little bit of brown around the edges before I turn it over. And so, you know what, it's a good idea, since we're here in Rowan College at Burlington County, it's a good idea for me to mention the fact that this is where there are so many different degree programs that are available to students. Of course, I have a great deal of passion about the culinary and hospitality programs because I run those here. I am the Director of Culinary Arts and Tourism Studies at Rowan College, and I'm just so happy to be here. It's a great school. And so, okay, I'm gonna pause for a minute because I wanna remind you, whenever you're gonna turn something over in hot oil like this, make sure you tip it a little bit and then flip it away from you and not splash. Don't splash in that oil. So there we got that gorgeous light brown color that we're looking for. But as I was saying, the nice thing about the school is we have both associate degrees in culinary and in hospitality, and we also have the certificates, which can also be in culinary and hospitality. In addition to that, there's an associate degree in baking and pastry, as well as a certificate as well. So there's a lot of opportunity for people who are really interested in getting into this industry to a great education. We have some dynamite chefs and some terrific students, and I've been very happy and blessed to be able to work with them here. All right, so that's just about done. So we're gonna turn the heat off so it doesn't get too hot. And then we'll just transfer this to my pan. As you can see, I've got some paper towels that I have placed in here to kind of drain the oil for just a minute. And while that's doing that, let me go ahead and get my plate so that I can plate that up. All right, so let's go ahead and plate up our Tunisian fried egg sandwich. We got it right here. We're just gonna put it right on our plate. As you can see, that's a meal right there. So we've got that gorgeous phyllo dough, all brown and crispy. Inside, we've got that flavored mashed potato with the fried egg. And this is gonna be just an outstanding breakfast when you decide that you're looking for something crispy and delicious and savory as well. And of course, we started things off with the humble souffle, which is the bacon and cheddar. And I always like to mention that if you're interested in trying any of these dishes, these particular ones, the humble souffle here, are available at the farmers market in Burlington County. And that is the Burlington Agricultural Center, as a matter of fact. And the Humble Spud has their own booth right there. And so make sure you check it out. And of course, go to Truly Seasons Instagram if you're interested in finding out more about events and recipes. So I just want to make sure to remind you that we are all about potatoes. We love it here on the Eat This TV network. And as a matter of fact, I just want to let you know that If you're really interested in finding out more about potatoes, tune in next time, and we'll be talking about potato soups.